It was getting late. I was about to close the shop for the day when a car drove into the parking lot. It was an old Toyota Corolla, worn out with paint chipping and some rust showing. Steam was rising from under the hood, likely from a broken hose or radiator. As it got closer, I saw a woman driving with 3 car seats in the back, each holding a child. She turned off the engine and stepped out of the car. "Ma'am," I said, "I'm closed. I can look at your car tomorrow, but all my mechanics have gone home, so I can't help you tonight. If you leave the car here, I'll check it in the morning. It could just be a hose, but it might be the radiator." "Do you have anyone who can come and pick you and the kids up?" The woman looked at me and then asked, "Kevin, is that you?" "Yes, that's me. Do we know each other?" "It's Cassie Wilson. We went to high school together." Cassie Wilson. She had been the popular girl in school, the captain of the cheerleaders, and the girlfriend of the star athlete. She made my life difficult during my last year of high school because I had dared to ask her friend, Anne-Marie, to a dance. Cassie and her friends had set up a prank that led to my embarrassment when Anne-Marie ended up going with someone else. News of my experience spread quickly through the school, leaving me quite humiliated. After that, I didn't try dating again until I finished school and joined the army. I had heard that Cassie was back in town. While I was away, unable to attend college, she had gone to State University, keeping her popular status there. She married the star athlete from her school. He didn't quite make it to the professional level and ended up working for his father's company. They had 3 kids together. However, a few years later, an investigation revealed that he and his father were involved in some dishonest business practices. In the end, both were sent to prison. Their company went bankrupt, and the wives ended up without their savings after divorces. According to my youngest sister, Amanda, who always knew what was happening in our town more than her older sister or I did, Cassie was living with her mom in a trailer. Cassie's ex-husband had made some bad investments with her parents' retirement money, and they had lost everything. Her dad had passed away shortly after this happened. "I remember you, Cassie. I hear things aren't going well for you. Looking at this car, it seems things are very tough," I said. Her clothes were worn and she looked thinner than I remembered from high school. It was clear that Cassie Wilson had fallen far from where she once was. She looked at me, tears in her eyes. "Do you still dislike me for what happened in high school?" "Dislike you? No. That would mean I think about you. You're like a ghost, a memory from the past that I don't want to revisit. I don't have the energy to feel anything toward you. Can you fix my car? Can you pay me to fix it? I heard you and your mom are living on her Social Security and a welfare check. That doesn't leave much for car repairs." "What are we talking about? How much?" "Well, with the tires, the radiator, and your broken lights, plus the strange sounds from the brakes, I'm guessing it would cost about $1,000 to $1,500 to repair a car not worth that much. Plus, it's unsafe to drive with kids in it." Now she started to cry harder. "What am I going to do? I can't find a job. People won't hire me because of what my ex-husband and father-in-law did. Mom and I can barely make ends meet. We skip meals to feed the kids. Without school meals, they would go hungry. But without a car, we can't get to the store or to see Mom's doctors. I can't get a job without a way to go. Sounds like you have a problem. Why should I care? Can you at least give me and the kids a ride back to Mom's trailer? It's too far for them to walk and I only have $2. I glanced in the back seat. 3 little faces were looking back at me. 2 boys, maybe 6 and 4, and a little girl about 2 years old. My mother always said I was a soft touch, and I guess I am. When I joined the Army, I trained as a mechanic, taking every class I could, hoping one day to go to college, become an engineer, and design cars. I thought that the more I understood engines and how they worked, the better I could help improve them. But I didn't expect my father's stroke. He had owned the shop for almost my entire life. He started with one small bay at an old gas station on the edge of town. Over the years, he grew the business to 5 bays and a team of mechanics. Everything was going well until his habits from years of smoking and drinking caught up with him. Instead of joining the military again, I was called home to run the shop after his stroke left him unable to work. Sadly, just 6 months later, he passed away from another stroke. This meant I had to take care of my mother and my sisters, both of whom wanted to go to college. Somehow, I found enough money to help them both. Bev, my older sister, graduated with a nursing degree and now works at a local hospital. Amanda, my younger sister, became an elementary school teacher. Both are now happily married, Bev to a doctor she met at work and Amanda to a fellow teacher. Bev has one child, a boy named after my father. My mother inherited the shop while I managed it and worked as a mechanic. I had 2 staff members, a bookkeeper who handled billing and accounting, and a service representative who took care of our vehicle repairs. Since my father's death, I had been focused on growing the business, securing contracts with local towns, the school district's buses, a local trucking company, and 2 construction companies, along with regular customers. Sally, my bookkeeper, was about to start maternity leave. She was married to a successful lawyer in town and had warned me she might not return. I would miss her as she was the only woman in the shop and always brought a positive spirit. Our customers appreciated her too. "I can give you a ride home. Let's get the car seats into my truck and you can tell me where to go. I'll give you my card so you can call me around noon for an estimate on your car's repairs." "Thank you. I really appreciate it," she replied. "Just pay the bill when I fix it," I responded as we loaded everyone into my truck and drove towards the trailer park. "So, Cassie, what did you study in college besides cheerleading and football players?" I noticed her glare at me. "I graduated cum laude with a degree in accounting. If I hadn't married Bobby, I would have worked for one of the big firms," she said. Now that was intriguing. "I have an accounting degree but no job. I'm worried about losing my bookkeeper. What's my possible solution?" "What kind of job are you looking for?" "Anything where I can use my degree. I'm okay with an entry-level job at a firm. I'd even take a bookkeeping job just to gain experience and get a reference." This might work. The real question was how my customers would feel about Cassie Wilson managing my books and handling billing. Plus, I had to think about how my family would react. My mother, Bev, and Amanda all remembered the past well. My sisters were ready to act against Cassie and her friends if they got the chance. They would not be happy about this. As the business owner, my mom had the final say on hiring and firing, even though she usually let me make those choices. I knew I had to be careful if I wanted to give Cassie a chance. But the idea of Cassie working under me after all those years in high school was tempting enough to think about. It would feel good to switch roles, even for a little while, especially if she struggled with the job and I could let her go. We reached her mother's trailer. It wasn't the worst home in the park, but it wasn't far from it either. How did 5 people fit in there? And what did the kids do for fun? The ground around the trailers was just dirt, and there were no toys or play areas in sight. I started to feel sorry for the kids, even if Cassie and her mom had not been unkind. They were just struggling and faced challenges that could hold them back in life. I offered to help Cassie carry the car seats inside. I noticed that the people I saw driving in were not the kind you'd want to leave anything valuable with. Those seats could be gone in a moment. Inside the trailer, it was hard to find a place for them. The only room that served as a living area was cluttered with toys. A worn sofa and an old armchair were there. Cassie's mother sat in the armchair, and I barely recognized her. "Can you get a ride to the shop tomorrow to pick up your car when it's ready?" I asked. "Maybe. I'll try, but I'm not sure." The neighbors aren't very friendly or helpful. They think we look down on them because we avoid drinking and drugs and because I haven't wanted to date any of the guys. "Let me know when I call with the repair details. If you can't make it, I'll send someone to pick you up. It's not far." "Thank you, Kevin, and thank you for not telling me to leave." I wouldn't have been shocked if you had, and you would have been right. I've learned a lot the last few years about how I acted in high school. I wish I could go back and change things. I'm truly sorry for how we treated you back then. "That's all in the past, Cassie. Let's move on. Have a good evening. It's nice to see you again, Mrs. Wilson. I'll call you once we know what the car needs." I got into my truck and drove away, feeling a bit uneasy about the condition of their home. We weren't rich, but we had a decent life growing up. I had never seen the level of hardship I noticed in that trailer park that evening. When I got home, I started dinner and called my mom. "Hi, Mom. You won't believe who came to the shop for help today." "Who, Kevin?" "Cassie Wilson and her 3 kids." "Really? I hope you didn't let her off easy after how she treated you in school." "Actually, I let her leave her car and gave her a ride home. You won't believe how much things have changed for her. She and her mother are living in a small, run-down trailer in that poor part of town. It's hard to believe she's trying to raise 3 kids there. It sounds like she's facing some tough times. Maybe she deserves it. That's not the main reason I called. As you know, Sally likely won't return after having the baby. We need a new bookkeeper. Cassie mentioned she has an accounting degree and isn't working right now. I was thinking about interviewing her. Kevin Henderson, you can't be serious. She and her friends were terrible to you in high school. 15 years later and you still haven't settled down. I blame them for that. Why would you want to bring someone like that into the shop? It seems she has changed. Losing everything may have given her a new way of looking at life. Plus, her kids are really sweet. I feel sorry for them and I want to help, even if that means helping Cassie. You always did have a kind heart. I'll think about it, but if I agree, you need to have clear boundaries with her from the start. One rude comment and she's out. I won't allow her to create problems for our customers or staff. Got it, Mom. Have a good night. Love you. Love you too, my boy. The next morning, we put the Corolla on the rack. It was worse than I had anticipated. Besides the issues I spotted before, the frame was almost completely rusted and the transmission was failing. There was no way to fix this car without wasting money. Cassie's car had reached the end of its road. I called her to share the bad news. Cassie, this is Kevin Henderson. We've looked over your car completely. I have to be honest. It's not worth fixing. Besides what I told you last night, the frame is nearly rusted through and the transmission could fail at any time. I can't in good conscience put any money into it. This car is not safe for you or your family. The only sound on the other end was a heartbroken cry. No, followed by silence. Cassie, are you still there? Thank you for trying, Kevin. Do you know where I can find something to replace it? How much can you spend? We don't have any extra money. We can barely make ends meet. I have about $200 set aside for a real emergency, but that won't be enough, right? No, it won't. Can you handle a car loan? Are you serious? Our credit score is very low. We've been struggling since the government finished with my ex and his father. We lost everything, even my clothes and shoes. I didn't even keep my engagement and wedding rings. The government said they were bought with money from illegal activities. Without money, I couldn't fight back. I paused for a moment. Cassie, do you have a resume? Yes. Can you email it to me? We don't have a computer. Do you have a printed copy? Yes. If I come by this afternoon, can I pick it up? Why? So you can make fun of me with your friends? No, I might actually be hiring someone with your skills. My bookkeeper is about to have a baby and probably won't return after that. It's not a high-paying job, but it's a job, and we have decent benefits for a company our size. Given what you told me yesterday about your education, I thought you'd be a good fit. I heard crying on the other end for several minutes. You would even think about hiring me after everything. I've told you the past is behind us. I'm not going to spend time worrying about things that happened 15 years ago. I've moved on. You should too. I'll be here when you come. Mom and I aren't going anywhere today. I'll see you after I close the shop tonight, probably around 6:30. Thank you, Kevin. I can't tell you how much this means to me. Don't get too excited yet. You'll still have to get past my mother and handle whatever objections my sisters will bring up. They remember a lot and don't think well of you. They have strong influence with Mom. She might choose to listen to them instead of me. All you can do is your best. Thank you for trying. That's the nicest thing anyone has done for us since we came back here. I'll see you later then. I closed the shop that evening and made a quick choice. We had a couple of older cars in case we needed to lend them out. I went back into the office and grabbed the keys to a Honda Accord that we had just fixed up for loans. Before I left, I called Cassie. If I let you borrow a car, can you bring me back after I pick up your resume? Can your mom watch the kids for a little while? Oh, Kevin, how can I thank you? My mom can watch them. They're fed and bathed just watching a show before bed. Could she watch them for an hour? I can go over your resume and talk to you then if you're interested. That works. I'll see you soon. I got in the Honda and drove to the trailer park. Cassie was sitting on the front step waiting for me. Why are you helping me, Kevin? Because you're having a tough time. Many people are struggling. I don't know them, I know you. Despite everything you've faced, it seems you've learned from it. I have the chance to help and I want to. Plus, your kids shouldn't suffer because of what happened before. I can help and I will. You are better than you think, Kevin, much better. We drove back to the shop and I led Cassie into my office. Let me see your resume and then I'll ask you a few questions. I glanced at it. The resume mainly listed a degree, which Cassie never used because she married her ex right after graduation and became a stay-at-home mom. If I bring you into work with Sally for a few weeks, do you think you could learn our systems and make things run smoothly? I believe so. It shouldn't be too hard. I have good computer skills, even if I'm a bit out of practice. I'll speak to my mom tonight. If she agrees, I'll call you to set up a start date. I'd want you to work closely with Sally at first. Thank you, Kevin. I promise I will do my best. I looked at her and laughed. Oh, I might regret this, especially since my sisters will tease me for even considering it. Winning them over will be tough. Mom might be easier, but my sisters have made up their minds about you, and it will take time to change that. Now go home to your kids. I headed over to my mom's to share what I had done. She was shocked. Mom usually didn't swear, but this time she did. What were you thinking, Kevin? This woman is not good for this town. Many people remember her as someone who looked down on others in high school. More remember her as the wife of the man who took away many people's savings. You know, 2 of his victims here lost everything and were very upset. You're taking a big risk. Mom, I think she has changed since we knew her. Plus, she has 3 kids. I know this is a lot to ask, but can we at least give her a chance? Not just for her, but for those 3 little kids. You really have a kind heart, but I'll give her a chance. You need to tell your sisters, though. They're going to be very upset when they hear this. Thanks, Mom, I called Cassie on my way home. The job is yours. You can start on Monday. That will give you and Sally a couple of weeks together. I'll pay you the same as Sally. You get 2 weeks of vacation, health insurance after 3 months, and I have a retirement plan that I add to for my workers. I put in 3% plus match what you put in up to another 3%. We also fix your car for free. You only pay for parts. I know that's not a big issue right now. You can drive the Honda until things are sorted out. Oh, and we have a profit-sharing plan that pays out at the end of each year. Kevin Henderson, you are the kindest person I have ever met. It's been a long time since anyone has treated me as kindly as you have in the last 2 days. I don't know how I can ever thank you. Just do the job well. We need that work done to keep things running and pay our bills. Doing your job right is all I ask. Have a good night. See you on Monday at 8:00 a.m. I'll see you then. Good night. Mom must have called my sisters because just as I got home, my phone started ringing a lot. Bev called first, but I put her on hold and added Amanda to the call. I didn't want to explain things twice. Bev started as soon as Amanda was on the line. Kevin Henderson, have you lost your mind? Hiring her after what she and her friends did to you? Have you no pride? How could you even think about doing this? My sister had picked up quite an attitude since starting her job at the hospital. Mom would not have liked it. If she had been listening, she might have reached for the soap to wash out Bev's mouth. So, sister, how long am I supposed to stay upset about something that happened in high school? It's not like I lost someone very special or that my love story fell apart. I asked a girl out, and she and her friends played a trick on me. The school made fun of me, but I moved on. Besides, she has faced some tough times and now has 3 little kids who need support. Wouldn't you want me to help Melody if you were in a similar situation? Sure, but I didn't make fun of you for a long time, my friend said. No, you've been doing that all your life. I need a bookkeeper and she is well qualified but willing to take the job. Plus, I get credit for helping those kids, so let it go. I have. Amanda, who had been quiet during the talk, finally spoke up. What will people think? Half the town doesn't like her because of her past, and the other half dislikes her for marrying that man who took advantage of others. It could hurt our business, and Mom relies on it for her living. You are being dramatic. Most people in town don't know her and wouldn't even recognize her. I didn't know her until she recognized me. Not many around here were affected by her ex or his family. Remember, her parents also lost a lot. That made them both quiet for a moment. Then Bev said, You better not give her any breaks. If she does something wrong, you need to do the right thing and let her go. We will be watching closely. I'm sure you both will. So will Mom. Now go focus on your own lives instead of bothering me. Tell your husbands I said so. With that, I ended the call. On Monday morning, Cassie arrived early. I had opened the shop at 7, as usual, welcoming customers who were dropping off their cars for service. I showed her where the coffee machine was and introduced her to the office she would share with Sally until Sally had her baby. When Sally arrived, I introduced them and asked Sally to show Cassie the ropes before I returned to the shop floor. To my surprise, Cassie and Sally got along well. Sally had been a classmate of Bev's and knew about Cassie's past. I thought there might be some tension, considering how close Sally and Bev had become since she started working here. Instead, when I checked in on them, I found them chatting away, discussing billing systems and sharing ideas about how to improve things. On their breaks, Cassie even gave Sally tips she wished she had known when she was a new mom. In just 2 weeks, they had become friends. Seeing everything go well, I left them to continue their work and got back to fixing cars. That Friday afternoon, Sally approached me. "Kevin, you really made a great choice with Cassie as my replacement. She understands our systems and processes really well and even has some ideas to make them better. I'm really glad to leave you in her care. I think she'll do well. She's a nice person, too. Whatever issues you and Bev had with her before, she wants to move on and do her best for you. She's very thankful that you're giving her this chance. She'll do everything you need. So, how much longer will you be here? The baby is coming in 3 weeks. If it's okay with you, I'd like next week to be my last. I need the time to finish setting up the baby's room. Plus, I'm feeling really tired, my back and feet hurt, and I feel very heavy. Cassie will be ready to handle things on her own when I go, so there's no need to worry about her getting the work done. She has some ideas she wants to share with you, too. They seemed like good ones to me, and I think you should really listen when she brings them to you. Thanks, Sally. We're going to miss you. And thanks for giving her a fair chance. I'm sure she appreciates it, too. You're welcome. Now I have to head home. Have a great weekend, boss. You too, Sally. Say hi to Jack. We had a farewell lunch for Sally the following Friday and closed the shop for an hour so we could celebrate without interruptions. Cassie settled in and was doing an excellent job. The staff liked her and the customers responded well to her, just like they did with Sally. About a month after Sally left, Cassie came into my office. "Kevin, do you have a minute?" "Sure, what's up?" "I'm looking at the numbers for the new school bus maintenance bid. I noticed that the last contract amounts were much too low." "Too low? How do you mean?" "Well, it seems like you took the mechanic's hourly rate, added 10%, and priced the parts at cost plus 15%. Yeah, what's wrong with that? To be honest, there's no profit. If I'm right, you're losing money for every hour of service you offer." "What do you mean?" "The 10% on top of the mechanic's hourly wage doesn't even cover your costs. You have expenses like the building, equipment, salaries for the service manager, me, and all the costs involved in running the shop. So what do you suggest?" "Let me redo the bid. I checked the history for the last 2 bids. You're the only shop that has bid. There's just one other local shop that could take on the work, and their last bid was much higher. It was almost 60% more than yours. They have a lot more expenses than you do because their building is fancier and they have more staff, plus they spent a lot on new equipment a couple of years ago. I believe your offer could be 35% higher without any chance of losing this contract." "Okay, I need to see the numbers before I agree. And Cassie?" "Yes, thank you." "You're welcome." We won that bid just like Cassie predicted. I asked her to look at each fleet service contract we had so we could adjust the rates as they came up for renewal. She found that we had been missing a good amount of money because of my way of calculating service rates. A month later, I called her into my office and handed her an envelope. "What's this?" "It's a bonus." "You earned it. Your calculations on the fleet service contracts brought us a lot of money. You deserve some of it. Please keep this with you. Both Mom and I owe you a lot, so do your fellow workers. You have made the profit sharing much better for all of you this year." Cassie looked at me with tears in her eyes. She came around the desk and hugged me. "Thank you, I don't know what to say." "Just thank you very much. No need to say anything more. Get back to work now. I owe you for this. We wouldn't have thought of these changes without you." The next morning, Cassie came back to my office. "Kevin, that bonus was too much. That check is more than a month's pay. I can't take that." "You can and you will. You earned it. No more discussion about it." She looked at me unsure what to think. Then she said, "Well, thank you. I don't know what to say. Thank you is enough, and you're welcome." When my dad was alive, we had 2 company parties each year. The Christmas party was for employees and their partners only, usually held at one of the nicer country clubs. The 4th of July party used to be at my parents' house, but when I started managing the shop, we moved it to mine since I had a better view of the fireworks. This party was for the whole family. I told Cassie to invite her mom and her kids so my mom would have someone her age to chat with. Along with my staff and their families, Bev and her husband Peter and Amanda and her husband Paul were always invited. This year, I also asked Sally and Jack to bring their baby, even though Sally chose to be a stay-at-home mom. The picnic was a success as usual. The kids ran around while the adults chatted and enjoyed drinks. The food included smoked brisket, my mother's famous potato salad, corn on the cob, grilled chicken, hamburgers, hot dogs, and Bev's take on my grandmother's baked beans. For dessert, we had pies and cakes made by the wives and girlfriends of my team, with popsicles for the little ones. As the sun began to set, we got comfortable in our chairs, looking out at the park where the fireworks would start. When the first firework shot up and burst in the sky, I felt a tug on my pants. I looked down to see Allison, Carrie's little girl, reaching up to be picked up. I lifted her into my lap, wrapped my arms around her, and returned my focus to the fireworks. I completely missed the argument between Bev and Cassie that made Cassie hurry into my house, where she stayed for about 20 minutes, as I later learned. When the night ended, we sent everyone home with leftover food, cleaned up, and I went to bed. The next Monday, Sally came into the shop with her son, planning to have lunch with Cassie. She arrived a bit early and asked to speak with me. I thought she might have a question about her old job until she closed the office door. "Hi, it's nice to see you. You seem to be doing well. How are you and Jack adjusting to the baby?" I asked. "He's wonderful, Kevin, and Jack and I are so happy to have him, but I need to talk to you about Cassie." "What about her?" "She has feelings for you, Kevin." I noticed at the party that she couldn't keep her eyes off you. When you held Allison close, I thought she might cry. "Sally, you know I can't date someone who works for me, and what would my family think?" "I know what Bev would say because I heard their conversation." "What do you mean?" "They had a strong discussion, and I guess you didn't hear it." "She told Cassie clearly that you were not available. She didn't want Cassie to have another chance with you." "I missed that part. I guess I was busy with the grill." "Kevin, this is important. Cassie has been through a lot, and you've been kind to her. She thinks very highly of you and is trying to hide her feelings. If you don't feel the same way, you should let her know." "She's my friend, and I don't want to see her wait for someone who may not want her." "What do you think I should do?" "Well, if you might be interested, it's usual to ask her out on a date. You could begin there." "Can I think about it first?" "Don't take too long. She has been let down many times, and she's almost given up on love. You've been single for too long. Your sisters think you're stuck in that way. Cassie could be good for you, and you have a positive impact on her. Just think about it." "I will, I promise." "Go take Cassie to lunch on me. Here's the company card." I was surprised, but I should have seen it coming. As I thought about what Sally said, I began to weigh the good and bad of dating Cassie. The good included that she was a very attractive woman. Since joining my team, she had gained back some of the weight she lost and now had a nice shape. The stress on her face had faded, and she smiled a lot more. She had changed completely since high school. No longer the queen of her social group, she was now friendly, approachable, attentive to customers, and she worked hard while raising 3 children as a single mom. I had spent time with her kids. The boys, Michael and David, were well-mannered and bright, despite living in a trailer park. They were polite and did their best to help their mom and grandmother. And Allison was sweet. I wasn't sure about dating someone with kids, but if that was the path I chose, I could do worse than Cassie's family. The bad side was my family. My mom was slowly warming to Cassie because of her job's positive effect on our business, but Amanda and especially Bev were still not happy about her. Trying to include Cassie in family gatherings might stir up trouble, and I wasn't sure I could handle that. Plus, some old friends had already questioned my decision to hire her. Dating her would only add to the drama, which I didn't want. Then there was the issue of her being my employee. That could lead to misunderstandings and problems affecting our work. There were good reasons to think twice about this. 3 days later, I received a message from Sally. "What are you going to do?" I replied. "I'm going to talk to Cassie. I know the good things. I'll explain the challenges to her and see how she feels. If she's interested, we can see where it goes." "That sounds good, but be careful with her. She's been through a lot." "If you're not serious, let her down gently." "I promise, and thanks for your help, Sally." "You're welcome." I hesitated until the next week before finally deciding to talk to her. I stepped out of my office and asked Cassie to come see me for a minute. I closed the door behind her and motioned for her to sit at my desk. "Cassie, I need to ask you something." Before I do, I want you to know that you can say no, and it won't affect your job or our friendship at all. If you say no, I promise this will be the last time I bring it up. I don't want you to feel any pressure to say yes or no. Is that clear? I get what you're saying, but I don't see why you're saying it. What's happening? Cassie, would you have dinner with me on Saturday night? Are you asking me on a date? Yes, I am. You mean you would pick me up, take me out, we chat, and if we like it, maybe we could do it again. Exactly. Did Sally talk to you about this? We've had a conversation. Did she tell you that your sister thinks I'm not a good idea? That came up. And you're okay with taking me out anyway, even if it causes trouble with Bev. I'm grown up now, I can handle my sister. I don't want to make things hard for you with your family. So that's a no. No, I want to do this, but I want to be sure you've thought it through before we go out in public. Your sister isn't the only one who might not like this. I know that. I have a list of good and bad things. All your concerns are noted. But I think the good things are more important, and I want to take you out to see if we might connect. Okay then, what time should I expect you on Saturday night, and what should I wear? How about I pick you up at 6? Dress casually. I was thinking of the barbecue place on the highway and then some dancing at the Blue Moon. That sounds fun. I'll make sure Mom can watch the kids. I'm excited. Me too. And so began what I thought was my courtship of Cassie, though Cassie always referred to it as her courtship of me. I picked her up at her place on Saturday evening. She wore fitted jeans and a dark blouse, likely to avoid any worries about spills. We arrived at the restaurant and were seated quickly. Before I could say much, Cassie said, "Kevin, I've never really apologized for what happened in high school. I'm very sorry for that. It was wrong." I reached across the table and held her hands. "Cassie Wilson, that's the last time I want to hear about that high school stuff. I told you before that I've moved on. You are a much better person now, and so am I. So let's not talk about it again, okay?" "Okay. Now, what would you like for dinner?" We had a wonderful evening. The barbecue was great, as usual, and the Blue Moon had a band playing a mix of old songs and current hits, including some slow dance tunes. We danced to all of them and spent time at our table chatting about places we wanted to visit one day and things we wanted to do. Cassie had been to far fewer places than I thought. It seemed her past was holding her back, keeping her tied to one place so that no one would find out about old troubles. After 11:00, I got her back home to her trailer. I looked at her and said, "I really enjoyed this evening." She smiled and replied, "So did I." I asked, "Would you like to do it again?" She replied, "Definitely." The next morning at 7:00, my sister Bev called me, sounding very upset. "You went out with her. What were you thinking? Have you lost your mind? If you're having that much trouble finding someone I could help, I'd rather see you do that than date her." I had to hold myself back from reacting too strongly. I replied, "Bev, it's my life. I know you don't approve. I'm sure I'll hear from Amanda soon, but just let it go. You and Amanda care more about what happened years ago than I do. I had a great time and hope to do it again. Just accept it." Then I hung up. Amanda called later, but the topic was still the same, just a bit nicer. Teachers usually have more polite language than nurses. I gave her my answer, just like I did to Bev, and ended the call after I finished explaining. The next Saturday, Cassie's mom could watch the kids, so we went to a play at the local dinner theater. It wasn't Broadway, but the actors were surprisingly good for an amateur show, and the food was nice too. The evening ended like the one before, with a friendly kiss on the cheek and a hug this time. The next morning, my mom called. She waited until it was a decent hour for a Sunday call. "Bev and Amanda are worried about you, Kevin. They've made that clear." Bev was quite expressive about it, I said. "Her language could shock anyone, but they really do care about you." "Mom, I'm an adult. I know what I'm doing. Cassie is not the same person they remember. She has changed for the better. She's a lovely, friendly woman with 3 kids. You've been encouraging me to find someone since I got back from the army. I'm not sure where this is going, but it could be good. Can you please let me live my own life?" "All right, Kevin. How about this? Can you bring Cassie over for dinner next Saturday? This way the family can see that she's changed, and I think it would help them feel better about both of you." "I'll ask her, but you need to make sure Bev and Amanda behave. If they start acting up, I will take Cassie out no matter what." "Understood." Cassie and I had been talking for at least half an hour every night after she put the kids to bed. That evening when I called her, I shared what Mom had suggested and asked for her thoughts on it. "Well, it would make things clear. Your sisters and I could talk things out. but I don't want to ruin your relationship with them. I'll only do it if you promise they won't come between you and your family." "I promise. So, how are the kids? What do you think about taking them somewhere on Sunday?" "Is it too soon for them to see us together?" "I'd like that. It would give your mom some time to herself. Plus, I think Allison already thinks you're great. I saw her cuddled up on your lap at the party. She's a sweetheart, so are the other two. You don't see them when they're tired and grumpy. Well, maybe I'll get to see that one day. You'd probably wish to leave the room." "Hey, I lived with my sisters for a long time. Nothing your kids could do would be worse than what they put me through over the years." "That's probably true. See you tomorrow, bright and early. Love you. Love you too. Good night." It was only after I hung up the phone that I realized what I had just said and that she had said it back, and I understood I meant it. I had fallen for Cassie Wilson. Saturday evening arrived too quickly. I picked Cassie up from her trailer and we drove over to my mom's house. Bev, Amanda, Peter, and Paul were already there, and the conversation felt awkward, with a tense mood hanging in the air. I could tell Peter and Paul would rather be anywhere else. Mom was trying to keep things upbeat, and so was Cassie, but Bev and Amanda were not helping. Once we finished dessert and were sipping coffee, Bev spoke up. "So, Cassie, what are your plans for my brother?" "Plans? What do you mean? Are you going to break his heart again?" "No, your brother has been really kind to me. I think I'm in love with him, and I hope he feels the same way." "I told you he was off limits. Isn't that Kevin's decision, not yours?" I noticed Peter and Paul shifting uncomfortably in their seats. "What about you, little brother? Are you going to let her hurt you? Like she and her friends acted in high school? She might break your heart, you know. Another guy will come along, offer her everything, and she'll leave you hanging." I saw Cassie starting to get upset. I wrapped my arm around her and held her close. "Bev, what's your problem? I'm the one who got pranked in high school, not you. That was in the past. Cassie was different then, and so was I. That's why you didn't stay with us after high school. That's why you haven't had a relationship since returning from the army. Some people just don't change." I stood up. "Mom, thanks for the dinner. Cassie and I are leaving now. Peter, Paul, Amanda, have a nice evening. Bev, I hope you find some peace." I took Cassie's hand and led her outside to the car. As we drove off, I said, "Well, that went well." "Kevin, no, it didn't. You can't talk to your sister like that. I won't let our relationship cause trouble for your family. I don't think we can keep doing this." "Cassie, listen to me. Do you remember what I said on Sunday night? That you love me." "Yes, and what did you say back?" "That I love you too." "And do you really?" "More than any man I've met." "Well, I've never loved anyone like I love you, so despite my sister's opinions, I'm going to keep dating you, building something real with you, and when the time is right, asking you to marry me. We are not going to stop because of Bev. Now let's go somewhere more relaxed and have a drink. I could really use it." Later that evening, as I dropped Cassie off, I walked her to the door like always. This time, I got a warm hug, a kiss that made my heart race, and she said, "If I had room, I'd invite you in. As awkward as dinner was, I want this night to last." "Me too. But I want to take things slow so we can be sure. Your kids have had enough changes in their lives without getting attached to me and then losing me. Speaking of which, are you still okay with us taking them to the fair tomorrow? I don't want to do anything that makes you worried about us in the long run." "Of course we should go. They like you, and they know we are dating. Allison asks about you all the time. She wants to see Mr. Kevin, and my mom approves. She thinks you're a good fit for me." "Great, I'll pick you and the kids up around 11:00. Is that too early?" "No, that's perfect. Thank you, Kevin. I love you." "I love you too. Good night and sweet dreams." We spent the afternoon at the county fair with the kids. Allison spent some time in her stroller, while Michael and David enjoyed the whole day. There were many fun rides for young kids and plenty of tasty food, so everyone had a great day. When we left the fair, all 3 children were sleepy in their car seats. By the time we got back to the trailer, they were all fast asleep. I helped Cassie carry the kids inside and tucked them into bed. Then I moved the car seats from my truck to her car, locked the doors, and went back to the trailer to give her the car keys. She was sitting on the sofa. "Where's your mom?" I asked. "She's in the bedroom. Can you sit for a minute?" "Sure, what's going on?" "This." With that, she jumped onto me, pushing me back onto the sofa cushions. She grabbed my head and kissed me warmly. "I thought we were going to take it slow. I'm ready for more. I want to be with you, just the 2 of us soon. Could your mom watch the kids overnight? We could go somewhere nice. I don't care where as long as I'm with you. Talk to your mom and we'll make a plan. I love you, Cassie. And I love you, Kevin. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night, sweetie. Mrs. Wilson was happy to watch the kids for a night. I booked a room at a small resort about an hour away. On Saturday morning, I picked up Cassie around 9:00 and we arrived at the resort by 10:30. We couldn't check in right away, but we spent several hours walking and talking. When our room was ready, we got our luggage and headed upstairs. "So, what do you want to do?" I asked. "I'd like to take a shower, then maybe a nap, and then just spend the evening together. How does that sound?" "Sounds great." And that's what we did. We enjoyed every moment and had fun together the next morning before breakfast. I learned that Cassie was very affectionate and made our time together special. Afterward, we headed down to breakfast, and it felt like our bond grew even stronger. 3 months later, with Christmas coming, I went ring shopping. On Christmas Eve, I called the kids and Cassie's mom into the room while Cassie was getting ready for the Christmas service. I asked them if they would support my wish to ask Cassie to marry me. The boys nodded yes, and so did Mrs. Wilson. Allison looked at me, puzzled but curious. I said to her, "If I ask your mom and she says yes, then when we get married, I can be your dad." "Okay, Mr. Kevin, I'd like you to be my dad." "All right, everyone, let's keep this a secret. I want to surprise your mom tomorrow, okay?" "Okay." Usually, I went to my mom's house to open presents on Christmas morning with the rest of the family. This year, I invited Cassie, her mom, and the kids to my house, where I had set up my first tree. There were gifts for everyone under the tree. Cassie had told me to be careful with gifts, not so much because she was worried about my spending, but because the space was small. The kids were really excited. The last few Christmases had been tough, to say the least. I didn't go overboard, but I made sure everyone got something nice, even Mrs. Wilson. When we had opened all the presents, I reached into a drawer of the end table next to the sofa and pulled out one last gift, wrapped in gold foil. I handed it to Cassie. "This one has your name on it. It must be from Santa." She unwrapped it and found a smaller box inside. Before she could open it, I knelt down in front of her. "Cassie Wilson, I love you with all my heart. Will you marry me?" Her "yes" was so loud it might have woken everyone in the neighborhood. I opened the small box and placed the ring on her finger. "I love you, my dear. You've made me the happiest man I know." Mom had invited us all for Christmas dinner, saying that Bev would be on her best behavior. Apparently, Mom and Peter had made it clear to Bev that if she couldn't act kindly, she would have to spend Christmas dinner alone. She finally agreed to be polite. When we arrived at Mom's house, the smell of turkey filled the air. Mom had picked out small gifts for Cassie, Mrs. Wilson, and each of the kids. They were opening their gifts when Amanda noticed the ring. "Kevin, you did." "Yes, Amanda, I did." Mom and Bev both asked, "Did what?" "I asked Cassie to marry me, and she said yes." Amanda and Mom crowded around Cassie to see the ring, while Bev sat down with a displeased look. I glanced at Peter, who nodded and quietly spoke to his wife. She finally said, "Congratulations. I hope you both find happiness together." The tone didn't quite match the words, but on a day like today, I appreciated even that little victory. Dinner went much better than I had expected. Cassie had one mom over, and Amanda seemed to be okay with everything. The three kids behaved well, and Allison asked the question that melted Mom's heart. "Mrs. Henderson, if Mr. Kevin married my mom and he became my dad, will you be my grandma too?" I asked. "Of course," she replied. "Now I have two grandmas, lucky me, right?" "Yes, you are, little girl, yes, you are." Cassie and I didn't see any reason for a long engagement, especially since our trailer lease was ending soon. My house had 4 small bedrooms and a guest suite above the garage. I suggested Cassie, her mom, and the kids move in with me so we wouldn't need to renew the lease. Everyone thought that was a great idea. We found a place for the reception in mid-March, so we planned the wedding for that time. It would be a small event with family, friends, and a few colleagues from work. Cassie chose Amanda to be her matron of honor, and I asked Paul to be my best man. Allison was the flower girl, while Michael and David shared the role of ring bearers. The reception was simple, and Mrs. Wilson and my mom agreed to look after the kids while we enjoyed a week in Costa Rica. We didn't explore much beyond our hotel, but we had a wonderful time. When we returned from our honeymoon, I hired a lawyer to help with the adoption of Michael, David, and Allison. Their father was far away in prison and hadn't seen or contacted them since. He asked for money to put into his account, but I didn't mind. Having the children legally and emotionally become mine was worth every dollar. I won't say our marriage was perfect. None is, but it was very close. We had our disagreements, but we were mature enough to talk through them and resolve things before bed. Sometimes we stayed up very late talking. One good thing about working through our issues was that it brought us closer. A year into our marriage, Cassie approached me one evening and said, "Kevin, can we please have a baby together? I know you see the kids as yours, but I want you to have a child that carries on your family name." I had learned to say, "Yes, dear," to reasonable requests, so I agreed. We put in a lot of effort to have a baby, and 11 months later, Jonathan Frederick Henderson was born. We named him after both our fathers. 2 years later, Cassie asked if we could have another child. "Are you sure? We're getting a bit older. Isn't that risky?" I said. "It would be more risky if this was my first, but I want you to have one more. Please." So we went back to working on starting our family. 2 months later, Cassie put a positive test stick on my breakfast plate. Bev was right that my heart would hurt, but not for the reasons she thought. When Cassie was about 6 months pregnant, she began having very painful headaches. The doctors thought they might be linked to the pregnancy. But when the headaches didn't go away, they sent her to a specialist who ordered an MRI. The news was heartbreaking. Cassie had brain cancer. The biopsy showed it was a fast-growing type that was hard to treat. The doctors wanted to try surgery, followed by chemotherapy and radiation. Cassie's first question was about the baby. The doctors suggested taking the baby early since Cassie was 25 weeks along. It was risky, but babies were surviving as early as 21 weeks. "Doctor, how much extra time could the treatments give me? Perhaps a year at most. And what kind of life would I have? You'd likely have side effects that would make your quality of life much worse. And if I did nothing? You'd have 4 to 5 months at most. Then the choice is clear. I want to carry this baby to term. I'd rather have time with Kevin and our children without being sick. A few extra months aren't worth it if I'm going to feel awful. I can't recommend that choice, Mrs. Henderson." "I understand. Kevin, do you agree with me?" "Cassie, this is your choice. I'll support you no matter what. But I want to spend as much time with you as we can. Kevin, my love, the time I've had with you is the best of my life. I hate leaving you and our children, but I want our child to have the best chance possible. I want her to have more opportunities than me. If you are sure, I'll support you completely. Doctor, you've heard Cassie's decision. We know the consequences. Thank you for your guidance." We gathered our whole family to share the news. Both moms were in tears, and Amanda was too. Even Bev seemed quiet and had tears in her eyes. The children didn't fully understand, but could see everyone was upset. Cassie carried the baby for 38 weeks before her health got worse, and the doctors decided to take the baby early. We named her Margaret Elizabeth after Cassie's and my mother's. The surgery was tough on Cassie, but she held our daughter and nursed her right after delivery before the staff took her to care for her. Cassie lived for 2 more months. We brought her home with a hospice care team to help us during that time. She kept taking care of Maggie as long as she could. Cassie's mom, my mom, and I were with Cassie when she passed. I held her hand as her breathing changed and then stopped. My dear Cassie was gone. I felt a deep emptiness that I had never felt before. Cassie's funeral had many attendees. Many of our high school classmates, old friends, and some of our customers were there. I was at the front of the line when I saw a familiar face. Anne-Marie Grant, the girl who had disappointed me years ago, was crying and hugged me. "You were the best part of her life. She told me that many times. She loved you in a way she never loved anyone else. She was my best friend, and I will miss her too. The emptiness she leaves will be hard to fill. I'm so sorry for your loss." I had no idea that Cassie had kept in touch with Anne-Marie or that they were such close friends. I thanked her for her kind words and turned to the next person in line. I was in shock and didn't know how to feel about Cassie still being in touch with her old friends. But it didn't matter. Cassie was gone. A few weeks later, I received a letter with Anne-Marie's name on it. When I opened it, I was surprised by what she wrote. "Dear Kevin, after having some time to think about Cassie's passing, I want to share some things she told me over the years. You were the love of her life. She mentioned how much you loved her and how important it was that you let her love you. You were the only man who treated her with respect. She had known many men who saw her as just a prize or a showpiece. But you listened to her, valued her opinions, and made her feel truly loved. It was very important to her that you let go of the past and welcomed her and her children into your life. When she learned she was unwell, it comforted her to know you would be there for your 5 children. You were generous and kind, and she always believed in your love for her. I hope sharing this brings you some comfort as you cope with losing Cassie. I paused to think about what Anne-Marie had said. Then I continued reading. I have never apologized for what I did to you so long ago. When you are ready and have processed your loss, I hope to have a few moments to speak with you in person to apologize. I hope you will allow me that chance when you are ready. If you want to talk, you can call me at 610-555-2341. I'll be thinking of you and your family. Take care. Anne-Marie. I put the letter aside, deciding to handle her request later. Right now, my main focus was on the children and Cassie's mom. The next year went by slowly. The sharp pain of loss turned into a dull ache that came and went. Nights were the toughest. I missed having Cassie next to me. I had found a new bookkeeper for the shop, but no one could take Cassie's place in my heart. Cassie's mom and my own mother tried to be mother figures for the kids, but I could tell they missed their mother too. On the anniversary of Cassie's passing, her mom gave me a letter. She sat down and said, "Cassie wrote this for you after she learned about her illness. She asked me to keep it for a year and give it to you if you hadn't moved on." She was very clear that I shouldn't let you retreat into your old self when she first met you at the shop. Please read this and listen to what she wanted to share. Dear Kevin, if you are reading this, it means I've been gone for a year and my mom thinks you haven't moved on. You were the love of my life, the only person who loved me for who I am, not just as someone pretty. I cared for you deeply, and it makes me sad that we won't grow old together. I will be watching over you as you raise our children. I know you'll be the father they need, a good example for them. I want you to move forward, my love. I worry that if you don't, you will go back to how you felt when I first came to the shop. I know our moms will do their best to help you care for our kids, but they need a mother and you need a partner. Please feel free to find someone who can take on those roles. Doing so will not dishonor my memory. Rather, it will honor our time together. Please consider this. I thought about her words for a long time before continuing. We agreed not to discuss what happened in the past, but there's something I need to share with you. By now, you might have found out that Anne-Marie Grant stayed in touch with me after high school. She was my best friend, even when things got tough for me. There were times her kindness provided food for us when my mom and I couldn't afford it, or helped pay the bills when we were short on money. Anne-Marie never got the chance to say she was sorry for her past mistakes. I never told you this before, but she really wanted to accept your invitation before we talked her out of it. She felt awful about what happened, and it has stayed with her all her life. She is still single. She has told me that she doesn't feel like she deserves a relationship because she has never asked for your forgiveness. She also said she would give anything to have a relationship with a man like the one you and I shared. I hope you will give her the chance to apologize and move forward. If I may be honest, I know she thinks very highly of you and would love the chance to see if you might be open to giving her a spot in your life. If you did for her what you did for me, I would be thrilled. She is my best friend, and I know she would care for you and our children with all her heart. So, my dear, as Sally once told you, the choice is yours. God bless you, my love. You gave me the most precious gift, your love. I hope you can find it in your heart to do the same for her. Please move ahead. I love you and I will miss you. Cassie. I spent a long time thinking about what Cassie had written. It had been a year. I wasn't sure I was ready, but my wife had reached out to me from beyond to say I needed to move on. I had kept a file of letters and emails expressing sympathy, including one from Anne-Marie. I opened the file and found her letter. Picking up my cell phone, I dialed her number. Hello, Anne-Marie, this is Kevin Henderson. I would like to talk about the letter you sent me when Cassie passed away. It was the anniversary of Cassie's passing when her mom brought me a letter. She sat down and said, Cassie wrote this for you after she learned she had cancer. She told me to keep it for a year and to give it to you if you hadn't moved on. She was very clear that I should not let you withdraw into the shell she found you in when she first met you at the shop. Please read this and consider what your wife wanted to communicate. Dear Kevin, if you are reading this, I've been gone a year and Mom believes you haven't moved on. You were the love of my life, the only man who loved me for who I am. I loved you deeply, and it makes me sad that we won't grow old together. I will be watching from above as you raise our children, and I know you will be a wonderful father, setting the right example. I want you to move on, my dear. I'm afraid that if you don't, you will retreat back into that emotional shell you were in when I first found you at the shop. I know our moms will do everything they can to help you care for our children, but you need a partner, and our children need a mother. I want you to feel free to find someone who can take on both of those roles. Doing this will not be betraying my memory. Finding someone to support you will honor that memory. Please listen to my wish. I sat quietly for a while, thinking about her words before I continued. I know we agreed to never talk about what my friends and I did to you long ago, but there is something important I need to share. You might have noticed that Anne-Marie Grant kept in touch with me after high school. She was my closest friend, even when I fell from grace. There were times when her kindness helped us out when my mom and I couldn't make ends meet. Anne-Marie never had a chance to say sorry for what happened back then. I never mentioned this to you, but she wanted to accept your invitation before we talked her out of it. She felt awful about what we did, and it stayed with her for a long time. She is still single. She has told me she doesn't believe she deserves a relationship because she never asked for your forgiveness. She has also said she would give anything to have a relationship like the one you and I shared. I hope you will allow her to say sorry and move forward. If I can be bold, I know she thinks very highly of you and would love the chance to see if you might be open to giving her a place in your life. If you treated her the same way you treated me, I would be thrilled. She's my best friend, and I know she would care for you and our children with all her heart. So, my dear, as Sally once told you, the choice is yours. God bless you, my dear. You gave me the most precious gift you could, your love. I hope you can find it in your heart to do the same for her. Please move on. I love you and I will miss you. Cassie. I spent a long time thinking about what Cassie wrote. It had been a year, and I was unsure if I was ready, but my wife had reached out to me from beyond to tell me it was time to move forward. The aftermath determined to move on. I started by fulfilling Cassie's last request. I had kept a file of letters and emails of sympathy, including the one from Anne-Marie. I opened the file and found her letter. Picking up my phone, I dialed her number. Hello, Anne-Marie, this is Kevin Henderson. I want to talk about the letter you sent me when Cassie passed away. Kevin, I'm surprised to hear from you. It's been almost a year since I wrote. I thought you might not respond to my letter. I'm happy you called. What can I do for you? Honestly, I'm calling because Cassie asked me to. Cassie did what? She left a letter with her mother to give to me after she was gone for a year. In the letter, she said you felt guilty about what happened in high school. She thought that guilt was making it hard for you to have relationships. She wanted me to reach out to you so you could apologize and move on. Kevin, that's very kind of you. I appreciate that. When can we meet? How about Friday evening? I'll ask Cassie's mom to watch the kids. We can meet halfway between here and where you live now. Let's say Millie's Diner at 6:30. It's a nice spot and the food is good. That sounds great. I'll confirm by text on Friday, but I'm really thankful for this chance. Don't thank me, thank Cassie. I wouldn't have thought about it if she hadn't specifically asked me. Well, either way, thank you. I'll see you Friday. After the chaos from hiring Cassie, then marrying her, and adopting her 3 kids while also having 2 more, I didn't see a need to tell anyone other than Cassie's mom about my meeting with Anne-Marie. It took a long time after Cassie passed for me to mend my relationships with my sisters, especially Bev. They never liked Cassie. They were very upset when I married her. Amanda eventually came around to being neutral, but Bev held onto her feelings about how Cassie and her friends treated me in high school. She still wasn't happy about having Mrs. Wilson living in my mother-in-law's suite to help with the kids. Bev's feelings were strong, and she often spoke her mind. That Cassie made me so happy and gave me the chance to be a father to 5 wonderful kids didn't matter to her. We were back on speaking terms, but the warmth we once had was still missing. Anne-Marie texted me early Friday afternoon to confirm our meeting. When I got to Millie's Diner at 6:20, she was already there. Kevin, thank you again for agreeing to meet with me. It means a lot to me. I really need to apologize for what I did to you in high school. Anne-Marie, let me say what I told Cassie a long time ago. High school is in the past. I don't think about it anymore. It's something from a long time ago, and it doesn't matter to me anymore. I've moved forward. You should as well. That's kind of you to say. What I did to you has weighed on me for more than 20 years. I can't believe I acted so thoughtlessly. I hope you can see that I have grown and I'm not the same selfish teenager I used to be. Put it in your past, Anne-Marie, I have. The waitress arrived and took our order. Anne-Marie looked at me closely. So how are you, Kevin? I'm managing. I still miss Cassie, but it hurts less now. I'm busy with the kids and running the business. I couldn't do it without help from Cassie's family and my mom. They've been wonderful. I'm glad to hear that. Can I ask you something? Sure. Would you mind if I visited the kids? I spent a lot of time with the older three, and they called me Auntie AM. I've met your oldest, but not the baby. They feel like family to me since my sisters live so far away, and I'd love to stay involved in their lives. That's a big request, Anne-Marie. I know you kept in touch with Cassie after she and I got married, so you know how much my sisters still hold against your friends from high school. I know, but I really want to be part of the kids' lives. It meant a lot to me that Cassie included me. I'll think about it, but it has to be discreet. Ideally, it would be planned with Cassie's mom and not when I'm around. Are you saying you don't want to see me again? No, it's not that. I just want to keep it quiet in case my sisters find out you're visiting. I've worked hard to mend my relationship with them, and if they know I let you be part of my kids' lives, it could set back the progress I've made. I can accept that. Please let me know soon. I really miss the kids. Dinner was served and we started to eat. After a few moments, Anne-Marie set her fork down, looked at me and asked, Kevin, can I ask you another question? Of course. Were you really interested in me when you asked me out in high school? Yes, if I wasn't, I wouldn't have done it. I wasn't much into dating. Why do you ask? I don't know if Cassie told you, but I liked you too. But I let my friends influence me to do otherwise. I've regretted that for so long. I've told you, Anne-Marie, I've moved on from those high school days. You should understand that better than anyone since you were Cassie's best friend. I wouldn't have married her if I hadn't moved on. Do you think you could give me another chance? I reached out, took her hands, and looked into her eyes. Anne-Marie, you are a wonderful woman who has done well for herself. If we were meeting for the first time in a different situation, I would be interested in you. But my sisters still hold feelings about what you and your friends did to me, and they haven't forgiven or forgotten. Amanda put up with Cassie. Bev could barely be nice to her, and that was only because her husband, Peter, my mother, and I spoke up. I have worked hard to rebuild my relationship with my sisters over the past year, and I don't want to ruin that progress. I know Cassie wouldn't like it if I said no because of my sisters, but I can't handle more family chaos right now. I'm really sorry. Even if I let you stay in the kids' lives, I don't think a future between us is possible. Anne-Marie's eyes filled with tears. I had to ask. I'm sorry that's your answer, but I understand. Cassie was very lucky. I wish I could have a relationship like the one you two had. I hope you find what you're looking for. You're a great person, and my wife truly loved you and valued your friendship when she needed support. But I don't think it would work between us, and I wouldn't want to see you get hurt. Dinner ended on a somewhat awkward note. When the waitress brought the bill, Anne-Marie reached for her purse. No, Anne-Marie, this is my treat. I asked you to meet, and I suggested dinner. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate you meeting with me. Will you let me know about seeing the kids? Of course. I'll talk to Cassie's mom and see if she has any concerns, but if she agrees, I don't see any real issues as long as it's just between you and her. Thank you. I really appreciate you considering it. We walked out of Millie's together, and I took her to her car. Go find someone who can give you what you want, Anne-Marie. Leave the past behind and discover your future. I wish you all the best. She kissed me on the cheek. Don't hide away again, Kevin. Cassie wouldn't want that, and you deserve better. With that, she drove away, and I headed home. When I got home, Mrs. Wilson was waiting for me. So, Kevin, how did it go? It went as well as could be expected. She understands that I've moved past high school pains, and they're not a problem anymore. I gave her the closure she was looking for. She's a lovely woman. I hope she finds what she wants in a relationship. She asked about seeing the kids regularly. I said I would ask you, but if you agreed, it needed to be arranged between you two without me being involved. I didn't want to upset Amanda or Bev by making them think I was bringing Anne-Marie back into my life. I would love for her to be part of my grandchildren's lives. She was close to the older three, and she met Jonathan a few times. She hasn't met Margaret yet. Then I will text her and let her know she can see the kids. Does she have your contact information to make plans? Of course. But remember, I should stay out of it. That's fine. I can help if Amanda or Bev find out about her visiting. Then she looked at me curiously. Do you think there could be a chance for a relationship between you two? In a different situation, I might think about it. She really is a wonderful woman. She's bright, friendly, and charming. But I'm not ready to upset Amanda and Bev again. I used up a lot of goodwill when Cassie and I were together, and I'm not willing to go through that kind of trouble again. I'm sorry you feel that way. I think Cassie would be sorry too. You won't find someone better than her, Kevin Henderson, but you can make your own choices. I won't mention it again. The next day, I texted Anne-Marie to let her know that Mrs. Wilson would help her stay connected to the kids. She replied with a heartfelt thank you, and I put the whole conversation behind me. With the 1-year anniversary of Cassie's passing behind me, my mother and sisters started to encourage me to date again. They worried I was isolating myself and were determined to pull me out of it. No family event was off limits. At every picnic, barbecue, or kids' soccer game, they introduced me to single women. I was polite to most and even took a couple out, but I wasn't really invested. When I mentioned I had 5 kids, none of whom were teenagers yet, any interest from them quickly faded. This went on for over a year until Amanda brought Sandra, a new teacher at her school, to one of our family picnics. Sandra was at least 10 years younger than me and had recently moved to Amanda's school after a tough breakup with a boyfriend who had also been a teacher. Amanda thought Sandra would be a good match for her brother. I found Sandra attractive and easy to talk to, so I decided to ask her out. When I mentioned the 5 kids, she didn't run away. She didn't ignore the situation, but she was a teacher with the responsibility of 25 kids 5 days a week for almost 10 months each year. She seemed to enjoy our first date enough to agree to see each other again. One date led to another, then a third, and eventually a night together. Sandra met the kids and Mrs. Wilson, and while there was no instant bond, neither seemed to mind my dating her. We kept going out. In the meantime, Anne-Marie spent a lot of time with the kids. Mrs. Wilson made sure Anne-Marie had lots of chances to play the role of Auntie AM, even giving her the kids' sports and school schedules. Anne-Marie usually went to events, but she always made sure to stay in the background and leave right after if Amanda or Bev were there. I would talk to her casually when my sisters weren't around, but I tried to keep it limited so she wouldn't get the wrong idea about our relationship. The kids sometimes mentioned Auntie AM, but neither Amanda nor Bev connected her to Anne-Marie. I noticed that Anne-Marie seemed to relate more with my kids than Sandra did. I thought this might be because our relationship was still new and finding the right balance was tricky. I was happy with Sandra, but I didn't feel the same strong feelings I had for Cassie during our marriage. I hoped those feelings would develop over time, especially since my mother and sisters were excited about having Sandra in our family and were encouraging me to take the next step. We had been dating for nearly a year, and I was seriously thinking about asking her to marry me. However, I hesitated because I still felt the loss of Cassie, which I knew would always be a part of me. Also, Sandra didn't seem to connect deeply with my kids yet. I had hoped they would bond like I did with Cassie's children when I first met them, but that hadn't happened. Perhaps once Sandra and I were married, and she took on a more motherly role, things would improve. I sincerely wished for that. I also had to think about Mrs. Wilson's future since she relied on me and took care of 5 children. If Sandra and I married, we would need to find a way to make sure Mrs. Wilson was cared for and could stay involved in the children's lives. She and Sandra were polite to each other, but they weren't the friends I had hoped they would become. Then there's the question of having more children. Sandra was in her early 30s, and she felt the pressure to think about having children. We had talked about kids before, and she said she wanted at least 2, but she also wanted to keep teaching. If we decided to marry, we would need to act fast, and I couldn't ask Mrs. Wilson and my mom to help with 2 more babies. Daycare could solve some of that, but Cassie and I never put any of our kids in daycare, and I wasn't too excited about it now. So I felt stuck, trying to figure everything out. I finally decided to talk to my mom about it. After Cassie passed away, she became someone I could share my thoughts with. I told her everything I was worried about and asked for her advice. "Kevin, you need to make a decision," she said. "It's not fair to Sandra to keep her waiting if you're not ready to commit. I understand your concerns. She's a wonderful woman, and I believe she would be a good partner and mother. The kids really need a mom, not just two grandmothers and two aunts who help part-time. Aren't you worried that she doesn't connect well with the kids? I asked. What do you mean? My mom replied. There's always a little distance between her and the kids. It's not that she doesn't like them, but she seems unsure about getting close. Have you thought that maybe her uncertainty is connected to your own commitment issues? My mom suggested. What do you mean? I asked again. How would you feel if you had to stop seeing Cassie's kids after forming a bond with them just because things didn't work out with her? I would be very sad. I loved those kids right away, just like I loved Cassie. Perhaps she keeps her distance because she fears that kind of heartbreak. I hadn't considered that before. Maybe I should. But whatever you decide, you need to be honest with Sandra so she can make her own choices, my mom advised. I'll think more about it, and I appreciate your thoughts. This has been really helpful. Before I could have that talk with Sandra, Mrs. Wilson approached me with a request. Kevin, would you be okay without me caring for the kids for a month? I have a chance to go on a trip with our church's seniors group to Costa Rica. I know it's a big favor, but it's been a while since I did something like this after my ex-husband and son had their troubles. Some church members will help pay for it so I can go. I'd love to take this trip if you can manage while I'm away. Of course, we can work this out, I replied. 4 of the kids are in school now, and I think Mom can take care of the baby while I work. I'll keep my hours short while you're away, and there are a few girls in the neighborhood who can babysit if Mom is busy. You've done so much for the family, and you deserve some time off. I know I couldn't have managed the kids without your help. Make your plans and go. We'll manage, and we'll miss you, so come back soon. Oh, I will, I promise. I love these grandchildren too much to stay away. They're a true blessing to me, said Mrs. Wilson. She gave me her travel schedule, and I talked with Mom to make sure we would have help while she was gone. I would drop the baby off at Mom's on my way to work, and she would bring her home to meet the other kids when school ended. I'd take care of the busy weekends, which I had been doing since Cassie passed. I also arranged for a few babysitters for when Mom might be unavailable. We were set for Mrs. Wilson's trip, or at least that's what I thought. The day came for Mrs. Wilson to leave. I drove her to the church, wishing her a great trip. Each of the kids hugged her and said goodbye. Then she was off. I hadn't thought about it much when I told her to go, but one of the weeks she'd be away clashed with Sandra's trip to Nashville for her sister's event. She had mentioned it months earlier, but I hadn't connected the two plans. It wasn't really a problem since Sandra wasn't part of the childcare plan. She would just be gone for a week, and I would miss her. Before she left, she said that she and the bridal party would be out of touch during their time in Nashville. Her sister wanted to be the center of attention for the entire week. Normally, that wouldn't be an issue, but it turned out to be a big one for reasons I couldn't predict at the time. A couple of days before Sandra's trip, my family, along with Bev and Amanda's families, had been at Mom's for her birthday. A flu bug was going around at school, but until then my kids hadn't caught it, and as far as Bev and Amanda knew, theirs hadn't either. Little did we know what was coming. That Sunday morning, my 3 oldest kids woke me up around 4:00 a.m. They were both feeling very unwell. I changed the sheets, set out buckets, and as soon as the sun was up, I called Mom to see if she could help. She told me that Amanda and Bev had already reached out to her. They were both having similar issues with their kids who seemed to be getting sick, as were their husbands. Since I wasn't feeling sick yet, I had to manage everything on my own. Mom was busy taking care of my sister's families. On Monday, the 2 youngest kids started having stomach issues, and now I was looking after 5 very sick children. I started to feel ill too. From what I had discussed with Amanda when this sickness first appeared at her school, I expected to deal with this for at least 5 days. Trying to keep the kids fed and hydrated while continuously cleaning up after them was exhausting. By Thursday, I felt completely worn out, having slept less than 2 hours in the past 36 hours with no rest in sight. I was feeling desperate. Even though I knew Sandra was away for the week, I called and texted her multiple times, asking her to come home early and help me with the kids. I didn't hear back from her. By Friday, I was really struggling. I hadn't slept at all the night before, and the kids still had fevers. While their stomach issues had calmed down a bit, it was mostly because they couldn't keep anything down. I truly needed help. Mom hadn't gotten sick yet, but helping Amanda and Bev's families was taking all her time. She couldn't stretch herself any further. With no one else to turn to, I did something I never thought I would do. I called Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie, it's Kevin. Hi, Kevin. What a nice surprise. What's going on? I really need your help. What do you mean? All 5 kids and I have this illness that's going around. Mom is busy with Amanda and Bev's families, and I'm barely managing. I've tried to reach Sandra for help, but she hasn't replied. I hate to ask you, especially after how things ended between us, but could you come over and help me with the kids until Sandra returns? Of course I will. You know I care about those kids. Let me pack a bag and I'll be there in an hour. And Kevin, thank you for calling me. It really means a lot that you trust me to help you and the kids. Anne-Marie arrived less than an hour later. Her first action was to send me to bed and tell me to rest, getting up only when necessary to deal with my symptoms. Then she began taking care of the children, changing sheets, cleaning bathrooms, mopping floors, and emptying bowls. She was amazing. I barely rested my head on the pillow before I fell asleep. I stayed that way for almost 18 hours. When I finally woke up, I could smell cleaning products and hear the kids sounding almost normal. I still felt a bit unwell, but the kids were definitely getting better. When she heard me moving, Anne-Marie knocked on my bedroom door. Would you like something to eat or drink? I can bring it to you so you can stay in bed. Yes, please, maybe some tea and broth or yogurt, something gentle that won't upset my stomach if I feel sick again. And how are the kids? The 3 oldest are almost back to normal. The 2 younger ones are getting better too. I've cleaned everything and am giving them food that should be fine for them. I think the worst is over for everyone. How do you feel? Better than before. The sleep really helped. I can't thank you enough for all of this. I've told you before, Kevin, I care for those kids like my own family. I would do anything for them. And she added quietly, almost to herself, and for you too. With that, she left the room to prepare my tea and yogurt. Anne-Marie insisted I rest in bed all day Saturday and told me to do the same on Sunday. I hadn't thought about it, but my cell phone was nearly dead when I called her on Thursday, and I hadn't charged it since. I wasn't even sure where I'd left it. Sandra's flight back was on Sunday morning. Finally free from her sister's insistence on no communication, she turned on her phone to find a series of worried calls and messages from me. As soon as she arrived at the airport, she tried to contact me to let me know she was on her way home and would come straight to help me. But since my phone was dead, I had no idea she got my messages or that she was heading directly to my place. Honestly, knowing she was coming wouldn't have changed much. I was still settled in my bedroom, and the kids were all doing better. However, I probably should have sent Anne-Marie home with my thanks before Sandra arrived. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Sandra had a key, so she drove right from the airport to my house. She noticed a car she didn't recognize in the driveway. She opened the door and walked in on a woman she didn't recognize. The woman was wearing sweatpants and a worn t-shirt, taking care of my children as if she lived there. I could hear shouting from my bedroom upstairs. Who are you and what are you doing here? Where? Kevin. I thought the kids were sick and he needed help. What's happening? Anne-Marie's voice grew louder as she replied to Sandra's questions. You must be Sandra. I'm Anne-Marie. I was a friend of Cassie S. I'm looking after Kevin and the kids. If you had checked your phone, you would know. He called me because he was very sick and needed help. I've been here since Friday doing what you should have for your boyfriend and his family. I could tell that last part really got to Sandra. Anne-Marie was clearly upset. What do you mean you've been here since Friday? You've been staying with Kevin? What was I supposed to do? Drive back and forth while caring for a sick man and 5 sick kids all the time. Where? Kevin? Up in his bedroom. His bedroom? You know, the place where he sleeps when he's not well. You've been in his bedroom. Yes, I have. I brought him food, drinks, and medicine because he couldn't come downstairs to get anything. I want to see him now. I'll check if he's awake. If he's not, you'll have to wait. Get out of my way. No, he's very sick. Leave him alone unless he's awake. You don't need to wake him and upset him more. He has had a tough week both physically and mentally. He's my boyfriend. You don't show it very well. If you cared about him and the kids, you would have made them a priority instead of focusing on your sister. You should have found a way to keep in touch while you were gone. You're awful. Likewise. At this point, Sandra was so frustrated she could barely speak. Then I heard the front door slam and a car start up quickly. I didn't know whose car it was, but I soon found out it was Sandra S. More than an hour later, Anne-Marie knocked on my bedroom door and asked if I was presentable. She came in. I just wanted to see how you were and tell you something. I think I really upset your girlfriend. She left here looking very angry. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cause that. I lost my temper and created some problems. I heard some of the argument. You were pretty tough on her. Yes, I was. I believe she did not handle things well. She is trying out to be a mother for these 5 children, and disappearing for a week without checking in is very careless. The kids and you deserve better. If it makes things easier, I can leave so you can call her and have a chat. No, please stay. You've done a wonderful job looking after the kids, and you deserve to finish what you've started. We really owe Auntie a big thank you. Thanks, Kevin. I'm grateful for your trust in me, but you really need to speak with her. Where's your phone? I have no idea. Can you help find it and bring it up here? I'll give her some space and then call her. Okay. With that, Anne-Marie left the room. 10 minutes later, she returned with both the phone and charger. I waited an hour for the phone to charge, then called Sandra. The call went to voicemail. I left a message saying that she seemed to have misunderstood Anne-Marie's role with the kids and me, and we needed to talk. I followed that up with a text saying the same thing. Sandra did not reply to either. The first sign I got that Sandra received my messages was not a call from her. Instead, on Monday morning, Amanda called, sounding very upset. As soon as I answered, Amanda started in on me without saying hello. How could you have betrayed Sandra after what I told you about her ex-boyfriend? And with that woman, what is wrong with you? Hold on, Amanda. I have not betrayed anyone. And that woman has a name. It's Anne-Marie. She was here because all 5 kids and I were very sick. Cassie's mom is on a trip. My mom was busy helping your and Bev's family, and Sandra was unreachable, so I needed help. Cassie's mom asked Anne-Marie to help the kids with my permission. She dropped everything to come over, take care of us, and I don't know what I would have done without her. I really was at a breaking point. But letting her stay at your house? What else could I do? Tell her to go home while we needed help? She was there day and night. Having her here was the only option. Well, Sandra is not happy. I've been trying to reach her. She didn't answer my call or reply to my text, just like she didn't respond to my messages when I asked for her help while she was away. Can you please ask her to call me or agree to meet so we can resolve this? She has a completely wrong idea about what happened. I will talk to her. You know how badly her last relationship ended, and she's very sensitive to any hint of cheating. But there wasn't any. I told Anne-Marie before that nothing could happen between us, no matter how close she was to Cassie and the kids, because of what you, Bev, and Mom think about her. It would just make things hard for the family. And she still started to care for you and the kids? Yes, she did. I really couldn't have managed without her, so please give her a break and give me one too. And ask Sandra to calm down so we can talk this through. I'll try. Thanks. Later that day, Sandra called. Amanda said we need to talk about you and Anne-Marie. Yes, we do. You left with a completely wrong idea about what happened while you were away. I told Amanda that I didn't have many choices when I found out Bev's and Amanda's families were unwell, and Mom was taking care of them while Cassie's mom was gone. I tried to call you many times and you didn't answer. I really had no other options. The only thing that happened while you were gone was that Anne-Marie came over to help look after the kids and me. So Amanda told me. Are we okay then? No, we're not, but not for the reason you might think. What do you mean? Anne-Marie's outburst made me realize something important. I've thought about it a lot since then. I hoped I could handle having 5 children who weren't mine just to be with you, but I can't. If I were truly ready to step in for Cassie, I would have told my sister that you and the kids came first over giving her my full attention for a week. You need someone who puts you and those kids first. I didn't do that, and I don't think I can. I was willing to try because I wanted to have a family with you. But I see now that you and the kids are a complete package, and it wouldn't be fair to you or them if I can't fully commit. I think we should stop seeing each other. You need more than I can offer. I'm really sorry, Kevin, but that's how I feel. I'm sorry, too. I wanted us to have a future together. So did I, but you need to understand that what I can give isn't enough. You deserve someone who is entirely committed to you and the kids, someone like Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie? What are you saying? She was just helping me out since she was Cassie's friend and the kids' Auntie A.M. Are you really not seeing it? That woman cares about you and the kids so much, it's hard to miss. It was clear on her face when she was upset with me. Nobody just decides to take care of 5 sick kids and a sick man she isn't dating unless she really cares about them all. I understand how your sisters feel about her, but Amanda told me they felt the same way about Cassie too. From what you and your mom have said, Cassie was everything you could want in a wife. As hard as it is for me to say this, and as much as I know Amanda would be upset if she heard it, you should give Anne-Marie a chance. She can give you what I can't. I'm sorry we couldn't work as a couple, but I love you enough to want to see you happy. You deserve someone who can truly be the wife and mother you need. Forget about your sisters and do what's best for you and the kids. Let Anne-Marie show you how much she cares for all of you. Thank you for being honest, Sandra. I hope you find someone who can make you happy. I also hope we can still be friends. Take care, Kevin. Don't wait too long. Call Anne-Marie. I didn't have to call her since she was still at the house. She wanted to make sure I was okay before heading home. I'm sorry, Kevin. I overheard your conversation. I feel terrible for being the reason you and Sandra are ending things. I know you cared for her deeply and expected a future together. It seems like I'm just a problem for you again, like in high school. You're not a problem. You've been a big help in my time of need. Why did you come over so quickly to take care of us? Do you really want to know? Yes, I do. I guess I never fully moved on from my feelings for you back in high school. When you and Cassie married and I saw how happy you made her, I realized how foolish I had been. I found myself loving you from afar, hearing Cassie talk about what a wonderful husband and father you were. I would never have acted on those feelings while Cassie was alive, but it's the truth. I was heartbroken when you said we could never be together because of your family's feelings about me. I wish I could change that. You might find out that I've been thinking differently. Cassie wanted me to give you a chance, and her mom said I was wrong not to. Now Sandra tells me you care about me and the kids, and I should let you show that. Are you sure you want to do this? Cassie told me how much it cost you to have her in your life. Are you ready to face that again? Well, Cassie won my mom over and got Amanda to come around, and that was before you stepped in to help us like you did. I think we can find a way to support each other that works well for everyone involved. Bev will just have to accept it. Peter and Paul will help their wives handle the situation because they really liked and respected Cassie. What about Cassie's mom? She has been on our side since the start. She knows Cassie would be happy about us being together, and she is still the kids' grandmother. I believe she will stay here unless she decides otherwise, and I can't imagine her doing that. She wouldn't give up time with the kids, and she really likes you, so she wouldn't see our relationship as a problem. Well, I really want us to give this a chance, but I need you to talk it over with your family first. I don't want to come between you and them. Even though I would love to be a part of your life, I can't accept it if it means losing your connection with them. I will talk to them, but I won't let them make my decisions for me. I didn't do that with Cassie, and I won't with you. Okay. I'll wait to hear from you, but now it's time for me to go home. I need to get back to work, and you and the kids don't need my help anymore. Before you go, there's something I need to do. What's that? Kiss you. And I did. It felt just as exciting as it did with Cassie. Call me after you've talked to your family. I will, I promise. With that, Anne-Marie left to head home. I invited Mom, Bev, Amanda, and their husbands to dinner the following Saturday evening, telling them I had something important to discuss. I wasn't sure if Amanda knew all the details from Sandra, but she was aware that Sandra and I had ended things, and she was not pleased about it. I told everyone we would talk about my news after dinner. Once dinner was over and the table was cleared, I sent the kids to the playroom and moved everyone to the living room. Mom started the chat. So, what's so important that you needed a family meeting? By now, you probably know that Sandra and I have ended our relationship. She felt she couldn't be the mother the kids deserve, and it wouldn't be fair to us to continue a relationship when she couldn't be that parent. Amanda jumped in. What made her decide that? Something she heard after going out with her sister. From you? No, from Anne-Marie. At this, Bev spoke up. Why was she talking to Anne-Marie about the children? What is her connection to them? Cassie's mom has let her keep in touch with the kids. They call her Auntie AM. What? Calm down, Bev. She had been like an aunt to the kids long before Cassie and I got together, and Cassie kept that bond strong. Both Cassie's mom and Anne-Marie wanted this connection to stay for the children's sake, and I agreed. How did Sandra end up talking with Anne-Marie? I was asked. Sandra had been away for a week at her sister's party, and her sister wanted everyone to not be in touch during that time. When the kids and I got sick, I tried to contact Sandra but got no reply. By Friday, I was anxious, so I called Anne-Marie since my mom was busy with your and Amanda's families, and Cassie's mom was in Costa Rica. Anne-Marie was still there when Sandra returned home. They had an argument, and Sandra left upset. The next day, after I asked Amanda to tell Sandra to call me, she said she couldn't continue seeing me because she felt she couldn't be the wife and mother that I needed. What are you going to do now? That's why I called this family meeting. Sandra suggested I think about dating Anne-Marie. She's the third person to suggest that to me after Cassie and her mom. I braced myself for the reactions I expected from everyone. You're thinking about that again? After everything that happened with Cassie, don't you care about how we feel about your happiness? Of course I care. But holding a grudge against someone for nearly 25 years when you weren't the one hurt doesn't make sense. I've moved on, Cassie has moved on, and Anne-Marie has too. More importantly, Anne-Marie cares for those kids just as much as Cassie and I do. They love her. So I'm willing to give her a chance. If you can't accept that, I'm sorry, but it's your loss, not mine. The room fell quiet as I could see my mom, Amanda, and Bev thinking it over. I turned to Peter and Paul. You both weren't part of the issues when Cassie and I were together, and I know you liked and respected her. I hope you'll help me convince these three that I know what I'm doing. They exchanged glances and smiled. Paul said, I'll give you this, brother-in-law, you have guts. Peter and I will support you as much as we can, but it's up to you and Anne-Marie to show these three women that they're wrong about her. Can you both do that? I'm going to try my best, and I'm sure Anne-Marie will too, so if there are no more questions, this family meeting is over. I called Anne-Marie as soon as I got the kids settled in bed. It went better than I thought. Neither my mom nor my sisters got upset, which is much better than when I started seeing Cassie, and Peter and Paul are willing to help. So it's up to us to show that this is a good idea. Are you ready for the challenge? Absolutely. Great, so what are you doing this Friday night? I have no plans. What do you want to do? Dinner and some dancing. I would like that. Awesome. I'll pick you up at 6. See you then. We felt very comfortable together, much more than most people do on their first date. This was partly because we had a lot in common, especially our deep care for my 5 children. Our first date turned into a second, then a third, and soon a fourth, which included all 5 kids on a fun trip to a local amusement park. We still hadn't become very close, but I could tell we were both eager for that moment. On the way back from the amusement park, Maggie surprised me with a question. Daddy, is Auntie A.M. going to be our new mommy? I think she'd be a good one. I noticed Anne-Marie was taken aback by the question. Out of the mouths of little ones, I thought. We'll see, my love. That's something your Auntie A.M. and I need to discuss. It takes time for people to figure out if they want to be together forever, and Auntie A.M. and I haven't been dating for very long. I looked in the rearview mirror and saw all 5 kids looking back at me. Michael finally spoke up. You know, Dad, sometimes you take a while to catch on. We've all talked about this, even with Grandmom Wilson. We think Auntie A.M. would be a great mom, and she agrees. What are you waiting for? That was a good question. Anne-Marie had already told me she cared for me, and I was quickly falling for her, just like I had with Cassie. There was definitely a spark. Kissing her felt amazing. The kids loved her, she loved the kids, and I had to admit I loved her too, even though we had only been together for a short time. What was I waiting for? We'll talk about this later. There's a lot to think about, and your other grandmom and your aunts and uncles need to have their say too. So let's save this discussion for another time. When we got home and the kids were all tucked in, I sat down on the sofa with Anne-Marie curled up beside me. What a day, huh? Yes, it was. What did you think about what Maggie and Michael said in the car? Well, you know how I feel about you, and I believe you feel the same way. Is there really a reason for us to wait on deciding if there's a long-term future for us? Can you get along with my sisters? I think my mom will be fine with it, but my sisters still hold some feelings from high school. I can if you can. But I promise to do my best to create a good relationship with them as much as they allow me. I pulled her close and kissed her. The kiss was always filled with sparks. Then I got down on one knee, took her hands, and said, Anne-Marie Grant, would you do me the honor of being my wife and a mother to my children? Yes, Kevin, yes, but I have two wishes and a request. What are they? First, I want to adopt the children. Is that okay? Of course. Second, I want Cassie's mom to be able to live here as long as she wishes. I don't want our marriage to change her relationship with the kids. That's no problem. In fact, that's just what I want. The kids and I love Mom Wilson and she loves them too. They would be very sad if she had to move out. Now, for my request. If we get married, I'd like to have at least one baby with you. I've always wanted a child, and even though I'm in my 40s, I still have time. I know it could be harder, especially with 5 kids already, but would you think about being a dad one more time, with me? I think we could make that happen. When would you like to start? Are the kids sound asleep? We can check. If they are, how about we start now? The kids were sound asleep, which was good since Anne-Marie is quite lively. We got the kids ready for school the next morning and sent Maggie to my mother's place, then went ring shopping. We found the perfect ring, an oval diamond surrounded by emeralds, which is Anne-Marie's birthstone. The jeweler promised to have it sized by the end of the week. I didn't see any reason to wait to tell my family. I called another family meeting, this time with Anne-Marie there. After some hesitation to start the meeting, I explained everything clearly. Anne-Marie and I are getting married. I proposed, she said yes, and we've set a wedding date for a month from now. It will be a small wedding, just family and a few close friends. Anne-Marie has something to ask Bev and Amanda. I know we have had some issues, but I want to move past them. My sister is going to be my matron of honor, and I would be honored if the two of you would be my bridesmaids. Will you please do that for us? I don't think either of my sisters expected that. To my surprise, they agreed right away. I asked Peter and Paul to be my groomsmen. Mike Schultz, my head mechanic and friend for many years, would be my best man. A month later, Anne-Marie and I said I do in front of about 40 friends and family. My kids were so full of joy. They had already started calling Anne-Marie Mom, and now she was really going to be a mother, not just an aunt. Our lawyer was busy with the adoption papers. After she agreed to marry me, Anne-Marie moved in with us right away. We chose not to use any birth control because we wanted to have our child together as soon as we could. We didn't know it then, but Anne-Marie was already expecting by the time of our wedding. After we got married, Anne-Marie sold her condo, and we decided she would stay home to care for the baby once it arrived. She worked from home most days, which allowed her to be with all the kids and helped us reduce the need for our other caregivers. 8.5 months after the wedding, we welcomed our baby girl into the world, weighing 6 pounds and 10 ounces. We named her Cassie Ann to honor both my late wife and Anne-Marie's best friend, who had brought love back into my life and into the lives of my 5 children.